I was lying in the cardiac recovery unit at Mayo Clinic when my daughter called. The triple bypass had left me weak, wires and tubes still connected to machines monitoring every heartbeat. Rachel's name flashed across my phone screen. "Dad, we need your signature." Her voice was rushed, businesslike. "Marcus found an investor for his real estate venture. We're refinancing the house to access the equity. The papers came today." I shifted against the hospital pillows, wincing as pain shot through my chest. "Sweetheart, I just had open-heart surgery. Can this wait until I'm home?" "This opportunity won't wait. The investor needs confirmation by Friday." A pause. "Either sign the papers or just stay at the hospital longer. We'll handle everything ourselves. You don't need to worry about it." "Rachel, I can't think about real estate right now. I nearly died on that operating table." Her voice turned cold. "You're always so dramatic when we need something." "Fine. Don't help. We'll figure it out ourselves like we always do." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, at the photo of Rachel that still showed her at graduation from Arizona State, cap tilted at an angle, smiling with her whole face. That girl wouldn't have hung up on her father 3 days after open-heart surgery. That girl had cried when I'd walked her down the aisle 12 years ago, whispered, "I love you, Dad," before I handed her to Marcus. My finger hovered over her contact. Then I pressed block. The nurse came in for evening rounds. A young man named David who reminded me of the rookies I'd trained at Station 7 back in the day. He checked my vitals, adjusted the IV drip. "Everything okay, Mr. Morrison?" Your heart rate spiked. "Just family stuff," I said. "Nothing the surgery can fix." "Family can be tougher than any fire," he said, patting my shoulder. He'd seen my intake forms, knew I'd been Phoenix Fire Department for 32 years. "You focus on healing. The rest will sort itself out." After he left, I lay in the darkness, listening to the beeps and hums of the cardiac unit. My mind drifted back, trying to pinpoint when everything changed with Rachel. 4 years ago, she and Marcus had shown up at my house in North Scottsdale with a U-Haul and sheepish expressions. "Just until Marcus's development project closes, Dad. 6 months, tops." I'd helped them unload boxes, cleared out my workshop to make room for Marcus's home gym equipment. The house had felt too empty since Marie died anyway. Having Rachel close again seemed like a blessing. 6 months became a year, then 2, then 4. I'd paid off Rachel's credit cards twice. First time was $17,000 she'd racked up on what she called business expenses for Marcus's ventures. Second time was $22,000. Maxed out cards from their trip to Cabo. The new furniture, the designer clothes, Marcus insisted. Projected success. Last summer, I'd spent 4 months renovating the kitchen because Rachel said the 1,990 seconds tile was embarrassing. Cost me $26,000. She'd picked everything herself. Quartz countertops, custom cabinets, commercial-grade appliances. When I finished, she'd barely looked up from her phone. "Thanks, Dad. Marcus says we should really update the master bathroom next." Marcus, with his endless string of ventures, the luxury car detailing business that lasted 5 months, the cryptocurrency consulting firm that folded after 3 weeks, the organic meal prep service that never delivered a single meal, each one requiring startup capital, each one promising to be the big one. And I'd funded them all. $23,000 for the detailing equipment, $15,000 for crypto certification courses, $11,000 for commercial kitchen permits that went unused. I'd worked for Phoenix Fire Department for 32 years. Started as a rookie firefighter in 1987, worked my way up to battalion chief. I'd pulled 14 people from burning buildings. I'd led the response team during the Fountain Hills wildfire that threatened 200 homes. 3 different fire chiefs had written commendations with my name on them. The Arizona Firefighters Association had given me their Lifetime Service Award in 2016. But to my daughter, I was just the guy who wouldn't sign papers when she needed them. Through the hospital window, I could see the lights of Phoenix spreading across the valley. Somewhere out there, Rachel and Marcus were probably planning how to access my home equity without me, annoyed at my inconvenient medical emergency. I picked up my phone again, scrolled to a different contact. James Kellerman lived 2 houses down from me. We'd been neighbors for 18 years, and he'd retired from his law practice 5 years ago. I typed out a message. Got time for a visit? Need advice on property law? His response came within minutes. Visiting hours tomorrow, 2 to 6. I'll bring decent coffee. Hospital stuff is terrible. I smiled for the first time in days. The heart monitor beeped its steady rhythm. Outside, the night shift nurses talked quietly at their station. Life continued, indifferent to my small crisis. But something had shifted inside me. Some essential tether that had been holding me in place had snapped cleanly. I felt lighter, clearer. 9 more days in the hospital, the surgeon said. 9 days to rest, recover, and think very carefully about what came next. James arrived the next afternoon, carrying 2 cups from Cartel Coffee Lab downtown. He settled into the visitor's chair, his reading glasses perched on his nose the way they always were. You look like hell, he said, handing me a cup. Open heart surgery will do that. I took a sip. Perfect, strong, no sugar. Exactly how I'd drunk it for 40 years. Thanks for coming. He waved dismissively. Please, we survived the HOA board together. This is nothing. His expression turned serious. So, what happened? Rachel texted me last week saying you were having a minor procedure. Made it sound routine. She said what? Yeah. Ran into her at AJ's Fine Foods. She and Marcus were buying expensive steaks, bottles of wine. Said they were celebrating a business breakthrough. He paused. That was 2 days before your surgery, Thomas. The monitor beeped faster. I forced myself to breathe slowly, deliberately. They knew I was having major surgery. I told Rachel about the blocked arteries, the surgery date, everything. James's jaw tightened. The celebration was for what? Exactly. Marcus apparently found an investor for another real estate scheme. I stared at the pale blue walls. While I'm hooked up to machines, they're planning their next big score. There's something else. James shifted uncomfortably. I didn't want to mention it, but given the situation. 3 weeks ago, I saw them loading luggage into a rental car. Designer bags, golf clubs, the works. Asked Rachel where they were heading. She got flustered, said just a quick weekend in Sedona. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through something. My Ring camera shows they were gone 8 days. The car service that picked them up had Maui written on the side. Hawaii. While I'd been scheduling pre-op appointments and arranging my affairs in case I didn't survive surgery. They'd been drinking Mai Tais on a beach. With my money, probably. Money I'd given Rachel for emergency dental work she needed. $8,000 I'd transferred directly to her account. I laughed. The sound came out bitter. Thomas, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. I set down the coffee carefully. Tell me something, James. You still keep up with property law? His eyebrows rose. That's what you wanted to discuss? Among other things. I adjusted the bed, sitting up straighter despite the protest in my chest. If someone's been living in your house rent-free for 4 years, what are your options? James leaned back, processing. In Arizona, you've got several paths, especially without a lease agreement. He pulled a small notebook from his jacket pocket. Always the lawyer. You'd file for eviction through Maricopa County Justice Court. Without a lease, they're tenants at will. You need to give 30 days written notice, but given they've been there over a year, I'd recommend 60 to be safe. Courts look favorably on generous timelines. 60 days. I rolled the number around in my mind. Manageable. Thomas, are you seriously considering? He stopped. What if someone tried to refinance your property without permission? Hypothetically, that person would be committing fraud, forgery, identity theft, potentially federal bank fraud. We're talking 5 to 10 years in federal prison, plus state charges. He sat down his notebook. Thomas, what's going on? The door opened. David, my nurse, came in to check vitals. We sat in silence while he worked, updating charts, asking about pain levels. When he left, I spoke quietly. I need you to do me a favor. After I'm discharged, I want you to check something. Public records, credit reports if you can access them legally. Rachel and Marcus's financial situation. That's not exactly. I'm not asking you to do anything illegal, just public records. Court filings, property liens, that sort of thing. You know how to navigate that world. James studied me for a long moment. All right, but Thomas, whatever you're thinking, I'm thinking about 32 years with Phoenix Fire, about the pension I earned pulling people from burning buildings, about the house Marie and I bought with my own money. I'm thinking about being told to stay in the hospital while they handle things themselves. He nodded slowly. I'll make some calls. After he left, I spent the afternoon remembering. Not the recent years, those hurt too much. I went further back. Rachel at 9, running to meet me after my shift, still in her pajamas, even though it was noon because she'd waited up all night worried about me. Daddy, did you save anyone today? She'd asked every single time, eyes wide with belief in my heroism. Rachel at 16, furious because I wouldn't let her go to Rocky Point with friends for spring break. You don't trust me. You never trust me. 2 weeks later, 3 kids from her school went to Rocky Point and got arrested for drug possession. She'd never apologized, but she'd hugged me tight that Sunday morning. Rachel at 26, wedding day. I'd given her and Marcus $15,000 as a wedding gift. Start your marriage right, I'd said. She'd cried, promised to make me proud. Where did that girl go? The days blurred together. David taught me breathing exercises. Dr. Patel explained my medications, blood thinners, beta blockers, cholesterol management. I nodded, asked questions, played the compliant patient, but my mind worked overtime. On the 6th day, James returned with a manila folder. You're not going to like this, he said, pulling the chair close. He opened the folder, revealing printouts. Rachel and Marcus have a combined debt load of approximately $312,000. The number hung in the air like smoke. Marcus's Escalade is financed for $97,000 at 7.9% interest. He's 3 payments behind. Rachel has outstanding debts from a failed LLC, something called Morrison Luxury Consulting, totaling $68,000. Collection agencies are actively pursuing her. They've got 6 maxed credit cards between them, another $42,000, plus personal loans, payday advances, medical bills they haven't paid. Income? Rachel makes $48,000 annually at Desert Sky Marketing. Marcus, he flipped a page. Marcus hasn't reported consistent income in 3 years. Various 1,099 seconds for consulting work. Nothing substantial. Last year's total reported income was $11,000. So they were drowning. Worse. James pulled out another document. I found a refinancing application at Wells Fargo filed 3 weeks ago. Cash out refinance on your property. The signature, he pointed. That's not your signature, Thomas. I've seen your handwriting on every HOA document for 18 years. There it was. Cold, documented proof. My heart rate stayed steady this time. I felt calm, focused. What's your house worth now? James asked quietly. County assessment came back at $720,000 last year. He whistled low. That's a lot of equity to steal. That's a lot of motivation to want Dad to stay in the hospital longer. Pull every string you can, James. I want to know everything. Every debt, every failed payment, every legal filing. I can do that. He hesitated. Thomas, are you sure about this path? I'm already on the path. They put me here. I gestured at the room, at the machines. I'm just choosing which direction to walk. After James left, I picked up my phone, scrolled through old photos, Rachel and Marcus's wedding. I'd paid for half of it, $32,000. Marcus had shaken my hand, called me a hero, said he'd take care of my daughter forever. I deleted the photo. One by one, I went through my gallery, deleted every image of them from the past 4 years. 4 years of memories, erased with steady taps of my thumb. When I finished, only older photos remained. Rachel as a child, Rachel in college, Rachel before Marcus, before the debt, before the entitlement. Dr. Patel discharged me on the 9th day. Take it easy, Mr. Morrison. No strenuous activity, light walks. Someone picking you up? I'll manage. The Uber driver helped me into his Camry, made small talk about the weather while we drove through late afternoon traffic. Phoenix looked different somehow, sharper, clearer. We passed Station 7 where I'd worked for 15 years. The coffee shop on Camelback where I used to grab lunch. 32 years of my life woven into this city's fabric. The driver turned onto East Barrel Avenue. My house came into view, the Santa Fe-style home Marie and I had bought in 1998 for $300,000, now worth $720,000. The yard looked good. Someone had mowed it recently. With my money, probably. In the driveway sat a vehicle I'd never seen before. A silver Mercedes GLS 450, gleaming in the Arizona sun. Window sticker still partially visible. I smiled. "Right here is perfect," I told the driver. As I walked toward my front door, I could see through the window. New furniture in the living room, a massive television mounted on the wall. Everything looked expensive, curated, perfect, built on debt and stolen equity. I unlocked the door with my key, stepped inside. Rachel and Marcus were in the kitchen. They turned, faces going pale. "Dad," Rachel said, You're home already." "Surprise," I said quietly. "How was Maui?" Marcus's beer bottle stopped halfway to his mouth. Rachel's coffee cup rattled against the granite countertop I'd paid to install. "We weren't expecting you until next week," Marcus said carefully. Like I was a dangerous animal. The hospital said at least 14 days. They said I could recover at home. I moved slowly into the living room, one hand on my chest. Not entirely an act, my incision still ached. Figured I'd be more comfortable in my own bed. The furniture hit me harder up close. A sectional sofa in cream leather that looked straight from Restoration Hardware. A coffee table made of live-edge wood and steel. The television had to be 85 inches. I did quick math. Probably $20,000 worth of new furniture. Minimum. "This is different," I said. "Oh." Rachel's laugh came out wrong. Too high. "Yeah, we did some redecorating while you were gone. The old stuff was so dated. We thought you'd like the upgrade." "Did you now?" Marcus cleared his throat, trying to regain control. "We were actually going to surprise you. Make the place feel more modern. Good for property value, really." "Speaking of property," I said, "that's a nice Mercedes outside." They exchanged a glance. Quick, nervous. "Yeah," Marcus said, confidence flickering back. "Got a great deal on it. Part of building the right image for my real estate consulting business. Investors expect a certain level of success." "Which real estate business is this? The luxury car detailing, the crypto consulting, or the organic meal prep?" His face reddened. "This is different. This is real. I've got 2 investors lined up already. 2 investors in 4 years would be an improvement. Must be doing well to afford a Mercedes," I said. "Those run what, 80,000? 97, Rachel said quickly. "But we financed it. Everyone finances cars now, Dad. It's smart money management." Smart money management from a woman who'd maxed out 6 credit cards. I let the silence stretch. Watched them fidget. "Where's my workshop?" Another glance between them. "About that," Marcus started. "We converted it into a home gym. Rachel's been really committed to her fitness journey, and with my training schedule, we needed proper equipment." "Your training schedule?" "Yeah, for the investors. They want to see I'm disciplined, healthy. It matters in this business." I stood slowly, headed for the hallway. They followed like anxious dogs. I could hear Marcus whispering something to Rachel. The stairs took effort. My legs felt weak, chest tight. I wasn't faking that part. My bedroom door stood open. Inside, I found Marcus's office setup. 2 monitors, a standing desk, leather executive chair. My bed had been pushed against the far wall. Boxes of my belongings stacked in the closet like garbage. "This is temporary," Rachel said from the doorway. "Marcus just needed the space for his workstation. You were in the hospital, so we figured." "You figured I wouldn't notice." I picked up one of the boxes. Inside were photo albums, my fire department awards, 32 years of service medals and commendations, shoved away like trash. Where exactly was I supposed to sleep? "The guest room's all made up," Marcus said. "It's actually quieter, away from the street noise." "The guest room? In my own house?" I set the box down, turned to face them. Rachel's eyes were wet. Marcus stood behind her, arms crossed. "I need to rest," I said quietly. "Long day." They practically fled. I stood in what used to be my bedroom and looked at Marcus's setup. One of the monitors showed an email inbox. I couldn't read the messages from here, but I could see the senders. Wells Fargo, American Express Collections, Arizona Department of Revenue, Capital One Legal Department. Interesting. The guest room was indeed made up. Small blessing. I unpacked my hospital bag slowly, hanging shirts in the narrow closet. Through the window, I could see James's house. His study light was on. I'd visit him tomorrow. Over the next week, I played my part perfectly. Weak, recovering, mostly staying in my room. I took my medications at the kitchen table where they could see. Winced when I moved too fast. Let them think the surgery had broken something fundamental. Rachel started cooking breakfast. Not well, she burned the eggs twice, but she tried. Marcus asked about my cardiac rehab schedule, pretended to care. I watched them, learned their patterns. Marcus slept until 11 most days. Rachel left for work at 8:30, returned around 6. They ordered takeout 5 nights out of 7. Nothing cheap. Flower Child, True Food Kitchen, Postino, $40, $50 a meal. When they thought I was napping, they argued. "We can't afford this," Rachel hissed one afternoon. I was in my room, door cracked open. "The Mercedes payment is $2,000 a month, Marcus. $2,000. So ask him for help. He's got money. I'm not asking my father for more money." "Why not? You've done it before." "He always folds. He's different since the hospital. Colder. He's old and weak. Probably scared. Give it time. He'll come around. He always does." I waited until I heard them leave for some function at Rachel's work. Then I went downstairs and looked through the mail they'd left on the counter. Bills, mostly. A notice from Wells Fargo about their refinancing application. Additional documentation required. The fraud attempt James had found. I photographed everything with my phone. Every bill, every late notice, every collection letter they'd been careless enough to leave visible. Built my case, piece by piece. That Sunday, James came over for coffee. Rachel and Marcus were at some resort show, a timeshare presentation that offered free breakfast. My money funding their eggs Benedict, no doubt. "You look better," James said, though his eyes said he knew I was performing. "Appearances deceive." I poured us both coffee. I'd started buying expensive beans from Cartel, leaving receipts where Rachel would find them. Let her see what her father could still afford. "Did you find an attorney?" "Linda Vasquez. Practices out of Kierland Commons. She's expensive, $400 an hour, but she's a shark." He pulled out a business card. "I told her you might call. I'll set up a meeting." I slid the card into my wallet. "What about the refinancing?" "Bank rejected it last week. Documentation irregularities. They figured out the signature was forged." He stirred his coffee slowly. "That should be the end of it." "But Thomas, if you wanted to pursue criminal charges..." "Not yet." I glanced toward the window. The Mercedes sat in the driveway, every panel gleaming. I want them to understand the full scope of their situation first. Which is hopeless. James studied my face. "You've changed. Near-death experiences have that effect." I heard a car door slam. They were back early. "You should go. Don't want them thinking we're conspiring. Aren't we? We're old friends having coffee. That's all." He left through the back door just as Rachel and Marcus came in the front. "Dad?" Rachel seemed startled to see me in the kitchen. "You're up." Feeling stronger every day. I pulled out my wallet, made a show of checking my bank balance on my phone, made sure the screen was visible. $318,000 in my main checking account. Enough to catch their attention, not enough to show my full hand. Thinking about treating myself. Maybe Alaska, see the glaciers before they melt. I've always wanted to take that cruise. Rachel's eyes locked on that number. I could practically see the calculations running. "Alaska sounds amazing," Marcus said, suddenly enthusiastic. "You know, I've been looking into travel consulting. Growing market. Could give you recommendations." Generous. But I prefer planning my own adventures. I went back upstairs, leaving them with their thoughts and their greed. That night, I called Linda Vasquez's office and left a message. Then I opened my banking app and did something I'd been planning since the cardiac unit. I created a new will. Everything to the Arizona Burn Foundation. Every dollar, every asset, every last penny. Rachel and Marcus would get nothing. I saved the document, emailed it to myself, and printed a copy on my home printer. Left it on the kitchen counter where they'd find it in the morning. Then I took my medication, closed my eyes, and slept better than I had in 4 years. The screaming started at 6:45 in the morning. I was already awake, sitting in the guest room with my coffee, when I heard Rachel's voice crack through the house. "What the hell is this?" Marcus's response was muffled, but the panic carried. I counted to 30 before going downstairs. Gave them time to really absorb it. Rachel stood in the kitchen holding my will like evidence at a crime scene. Her face had gone blotchy, mascara already smudged. Marcus paced behind her, running his hands through his hair repeatedly. "Morning," I said, pouring myself fresh coffee. "Sleep well?" "What is this?" Rachel thrust the papers at me. Her hands shook. "The Arizona Burn Foundation? You're leaving everything to charity?" "Yes. The house, retirement accounts, investment portfolios, all of it." I took a sip. Guatemalan roast, smooth finish. They do good work. Help firefighters who actually sacrificed for something larger than themselves. Marcus stopped pacing. "You can't be serious. We're your family." "Are you?" I met his eyes. "Funny. Family usually shows up when someone's having open-heart surgery. Family doesn't tell their father to stay in the hospital longer while they handle things." Rachel's tears came faster. "I was stressed, Dad. I said things I didn't mean. You know how I get. I know exactly how you get. You get stressed about money, about keeping up appearances, about maintaining a lifestyle you can't afford. That's not fair. Neither is forging someone's signature on a refinancing application." The silence that followed could have cracked stone. Rachel's mouth opened, closed. Marcus went pale, then flushed, then pale again. "I don't know what you're talking about," Marcus said, but his voice cracked. "Wells Fargo flagged your application. Documentation irregularities." I pulled out my phone, showed them the photograph I'd taken of the bank notice. Banks are pretty good at detecting forgery. Rachel sank into a chair. "Dad, please let me explain." "Explain what?" "How you tried to steal my house. How you've been bleeding me dry for 4 years. I set my coffee down carefully. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to get jobs. Real ones. You're going to pay your own bills. And you're going to find somewhere else to live. You're kicking us out?" Rachel's voice climbed to a pitch I hadn't heard since she was 13. "We have nowhere to go." "Should have thought about that before treating me like an ATM with a pulse." Marcus stepped forward. "You're being unreasonable. We made one mistake." "One?" I laughed. It came out cold. "Let's count. The $17,000 in credit card debt I paid off. The $22,000 the second time. The $26,000 kitchen renovation. The $8,000 for your dental emergency that paid for Maui. Should I continue?" "Those were investments in our future," Marcus said. "No. Those were investments in your delusions." I picked up my phone again. Linda Vasquez, real estate attorney. "I have a meeting with her this afternoon. Want to guess what we'll be discussing?" Rachel stood abruptly. "You wouldn't actually evict us. Your own daughter." "My own daughter told me to stay in the hospital while she stole my house." I kept my voice level. "That daughter doesn't exist anymore. I'm protecting my assets from strangers who happen to share my last name." Over the next week, they tried everything. Rachel brought home my favorite foods, or tried. The meatloaf was dry, potatoes lumpy. She'd never learned to cook, always relied on takeout or my efforts. Marcus suddenly developed an interest in home maintenance. I found him in the garage one afternoon attempting to organize tools. He'd mixed everything up, creating chaos. "What are you doing?" "Thought I'd help out. You know, with your heart and everything." "So you're destroying my organization to help?" "I'm trying, Thomas. It's Mr. Morrison. And leave my tools alone." Their tactics shifted. They brought up memories. "Remember when we went to the Grand Canyon, Dad? Remember my college graduation? Remember how happy we were?" I remembered. I remembered every moment they were trying to weaponize against me. The difference was, I also remembered the last 4 years. The meeting with Linda Vasquez happened on a Thursday. Her office sat on the 14th floor of a building in Kierland Commons. All glass and steel and expensive views of Camelback Mountain. She was younger than expected. maybe 50, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Mr. Morrison, firm handshake. James speaks highly of you. He speaks highly of everyone. She laughed. Fair. Let's talk about your situation. I laid it out methodically. 4 years of cohabitation without a lease, no rent paid, no formal agreement, the refinancing attempt with forged signatures, the debt load. Linda took notes on a tablet, fingers moving quickly. Arizona law is clear, she said when I finished. They're tenants at will. You need to give written notice. I'd recommend 60 days to be safe. After that, if they refuse to leave, we file for eviction through justice court. And the forgery? That's criminal. Bank fraud, identity theft, forgery. The Maricopa County attorney would be very interested. She tapped her stylus against the screen. Class 4 felony. 2 to 3.75 years. But prosecution is your call. Let's start with eviction. Criminal charges are leverage if needed. Smart. She pulled out a contract. My retainer is $8,000. Hourly rate is $400. Total costs. If it goes to court, probably $15,000 to $20,000. I wrote the check with steady hands. Back home, I heard them arguing in the living room. Loud enough I could hear from the driveway. He's not going to budge, Marcus said. The old man's lost it. He's punishing us for what I said at the hospital. So fix it. Cry more. Old people always forgive their kids. Old people. As if I were some generic elderly person. Not the man who'd raised Rachel, paid for her education, given her everything. I opened the door loudly. They sprang apart. How was your appointment? Rachel asked, voice sweet. Productive. Attorneys drawing up formal eviction notices. You'll receive them next week. You're really doing this? Marcus said. Did you think I wasn't? I think you're making a mistake. We could make this difficult. Elder abuse claims. Competency hearings. Are you threatening me? I'm stating facts. I smiled. By all means, try. You'll need an attorney. Wonder how you'll pay for one, given your situation. Rachel grabbed Marcus's arm. Stop. She turned to me. Dad, please. Can we really talk? You had 4 years to talk to me like I mattered. Now I'm done listening. The eviction notices arrived by certified mail on a Tuesday morning. I watched from the kitchen window as Rachel signed for the envelope, hand trembling. She opened it right there on the porch. I saw her face go from confused to horrified. Marcus yanked the documents from her hands, jaw clenching. 60 days. 60 days to vacate, remove all belongings, return the property to its rightful owner. They came inside like a storm. Marcus slammed the door. A picture frame rattled. This is insane, Marcus said, waving the papers. You can't throw us out. I'm not throwing you anywhere. I'm giving you 60 days. That's generous. Generous? Rachel's voice broke. Where are we supposed to go? Rent an apartment like every other adult in America. I stirred my oatmeal. Consider this your eviction notice and your wake-up call. Marcus dropped into a chair, running calculations across his face. 2 months. Security deposits. First and last month's rent. Moving costs. With their debt, they'd need at least $10,000 up front. Money they didn't have. Over the following week, they hired an attorney. Or tried. The first 4 firms turned them down. Finally, they found someone, Gerald Webb, practicing out of a strip mall in Mesa. Reviews online were terrible. Webb sent Linda a letter demanding we halt proceedings while they explored tenant rights and potential elder abuse claims. Linda called me, read it aloud, then laughed. He's fishing. Classic desperation. Want to know what I'm going to respond with? Enlighten me. Your medical records showing full cognitive function. Your fire department service record. Documentation of all the money you've given them. Shows exploitation, not the reverse. How long until court? They filed for a hearing. Judge Martinez's docket is backed up, probably late July. And the forgery? Could I file charges? You could. Phoenix PD, Fraud Division. They'd investigate, hand it to the county attorney. Given the amount involved, they'd likely prosecute. Marcus would be looking at 2 to 3 years if convicted. 2 to 3 years. I thought about Rachel visiting Marcus in prison. Thought about how that would destroy what was left of their lives. Then I thought about lying in that cardiac unit, wires across my chest, listening to Rachel tell me to stay there longer. File it, I said. The detectives came on a Thursday. Rodriguez and Chen, mid-40s, professional, thorough. I gave them everything. Rachel was home when they arrived. She sat frozen on the cream leather sofa, watching them take notes. Mrs. Parker, Detective Rodriguez said, "Did you have knowledge of your husband's attempt to refinance this property?" Rachel's mouth opened, closed. "I'd advise speaking with an attorney before answering," Chen added. "This is serious. Bank fraud is a felony." After they left, Rachel sat in silence for 20 minutes. "You called the police," she finally said. "On your own family." "I reported a crime. Marcus could go to prison. Do you understand that? He committed a felony. Actions have consequences. You're destroying our lives." "No, sweetheart. You destroyed your own lives. I'm just declining to be collateral damage." That Sunday, they made their most desperate play. I was in the garage when a white sedan pulled up. A woman in her 50s emerged, carrying a clipboard. Adult Protective Services. Marcus appeared from nowhere, suddenly concerned. "Thank you for coming, Miss Patterson. We're really worried about him." I walked out slowly, wiping grease from my hands. "Mr. Morrison?" The woman smiled professionally. "I'm Sarah Patterson, APS. Your family called with concerns about your well-being. Did they now? They mentioned you had serious surgery and might be experiencing confusion, making impulsive decisions." I saw Marcus's game immediately. "Declare me incompetent, get guardianship, control my assets. Would you like to come inside? I just made fresh coffee." I gave Miss Patterson the full tour. My medication organizer, perfectly sorted. My cardiac rehab schedule, every appointment attended. Medical records from Dr. Patel showing excellent recovery. Then I showed her my service record. 32 years, Phoenix Fire Department, Battalion Chief, awards from 3 different fire chiefs. Photos of me receiving the Lifetime Service Award. As you can see, my mind is quite sound. "Mr. Morrison, I have to ask, do you feel safe here? Is anyone pressuring you or controlling your finances?" I pulled out my folder. "Here are bank statements showing 4 years of withdrawals benefiting my daughter and her husband, roughly $98,000 total. Here's the police report regarding attempted fraud. And here's my legal action to protect my property." Her eyebrows rose as she reviewed everything. "I see. Mr. Morrison, you appear in full control of your faculties. I'll note the concerns raised appear unfounded." She turned to Marcus and Rachel. "Filing false APS reports is a serious matter. I suggest you focus on your own situation." After she left, the silence was dangerous. "Nice try," I said. "But I survived 32 years of city bureaucracy and fire department politics. You think one social worker was going to intimidate me?" "We were trying to help you," Marcus said weakly. "No. You were trying to steal from me legally instead of illegally." I headed for the stairs. 58 days left. Better start packing. June arrived with brutal heat. Phoenix temperatures hit 115, and the house, even with air conditioning, felt like a pressure cooker of tension. Rachel stopped going to work some days. I'd hear her on the phone with her manager, making excuses, her voice pitchy, desperate. The financial pressure showed everywhere. Generic brands in the pantry. The expensive wine gone. Rachel's salon appointments stopped her roots, growing out, nails chipped. James stopped by one afternoon while they were apartment hunting. "You're the talk of North Scottsdale," he said, settling into a porch chair despite the heat. "Am I?" Donna Miller asked about it at book club. Karen Chen mentioned it at Sprouts. Everyone knows. How? Rachel told someone at her work. That someone told their neighbor. Small community, big drama. He pulled out his phone. This doesn't help their case. A screenshot of the Maricopa County court records. Morrison v. Parker. Case number, hearing date, everything public. "Good?" I said. "Shows pattern of behavior. Thomas, you realize how bad their situation is? Between the debt, eviction, and criminal investigation, they're toxic. No landlord will rent to them. No bank will loan." I should have felt something. Guilt, maybe. Instead, I felt the same clarity. They made their choices. The court hearing arrived on a scorching Tuesday in late July. Maricopa County Justice Court, Judge Martinez presiding. Linda met me outside, looking crisp despite the heat. They're already inside. Webb looks nervous. The courtroom was small. Fluorescent lights, cheap paneling, the Arizona state seal behind the judge's bench. Rachel and Marcus sat with Gerald Webb. Rachel wore a conservative dress. Marcus had squeezed into an ill-fitting suit. Judge Martinez entered. Mid-50s, reading glasses, no-nonsense expression. This is an eviction proceeding. Morrison versus Parker. Mr. Morrison seeks to remove tenants after 60 days' notice. Miss Vasquez? Linda stood smoothly. Your Honor, this is straightforward. Mr. Morrison owns the property. Defendants resided there 4 years without a lease, without paying rent, without contributing to expenses. Under Arizona law, Mr. Morrison provided proper notice. We asked the court to grant eviction. Webb stumbled through his response. Family obligations, hardship, verbal agreements. Mr. Webb, Judge Martinez interrupted. Do you have documentation of any rental agreement? Well, no, Your Honor, but any proof of rent payments? It was an informal arrangement. That's not a legal basis to prevent eviction. The judge turned to me. Mr. Morrison, you're the property owner of record? Yes, Your Honor. Purchased in 1998. And you provided 60 days written notice? I did. The judge reviewed more papers. I see there's also a pending criminal investigation related to attempted fraud involving this property. Marcus went white. Rachel grabbed his hand. Yes, Your Honor, Linda said. Defendants attempted to refinance Mr. Morrison's property without authorization using forged signatures. Judge Martinez removed his glasses, fixed them with a look that could melt steel. So you're living rent-free in your father-in-law's home, not contributing financially, and attempted to steal his equity through fraud. Webb opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Your Honor, Rachel said suddenly, voice cracking. My father had open-heart surgery. We were trying to help. By forging his signature on loan documents? That's not. We were desperate. Desperation doesn't justify fraud, Mrs. Parker. The judge put his glasses back on. This court grants the eviction. Defendants have 30 days from today to vacate. That's August 25th. Any belongings remaining after that date will be considered abandoned. The gavel came down. Rachel burst into tears. Marcus sat frozen. Outside, Linda shook my hand. Clean victory. 30 days is actually tight. Judge could have given 60. August 25th, I repeated. They'll likely appeal, but I doubt it'll go anywhere. I watched Rachel and Marcus exit. She leaned on him heavily. He stared ahead, jaw clenched. Even their attorney walked away quickly. That evening, I found a note on the counter. Rachel's handwriting, shaky. Dad, please, we need to talk, really talk, before it's too late. R. I folded the note, put it in my pocket, pulled up rental listings on my computer, found several options in their price range. Small apartments in Tempe, older buildings, nothing fancy but adequate. Printed them out, left them on the counter. An olive branch, or a roadmap to reality. Through the walls, I heard Rachel crying. Marcus's voice raised. Your father is destroying us. We destroyed ourselves, Rachel shouted back. Don't you see that? First crack of self-awareness. I made dinner, grilled chicken, vegetables, a glass of wine. Ate alone at the table with the window open, hot desert air carrying the scent of creosote. 28 days until they were gone. I could wait. August brought no relief. The house felt smaller each day, packed with boxes and simmering resentment. The Mercedes disappeared on a Tuesday. I was drinking coffee when the repo truck arrived. 2 men worked efficiently while Rachel watched from the doorway in yoga pants and a tank top. Marcus came charging out. You can't take that! 4 months behind, sir, the driver said. Bank's orders. The truck lifted the Mercedes smoothly. $97,000 of image building vanishing down the street. Marcus stood in the driveway, long after, fists clenched. Then he turned and saw me on the porch. Enjoying the show? Just drinking my coffee. This is all your fault. Everything that's happening. No, Marcus, this is all your fault. I just stopped the bleeding. That afternoon, Detectives Rodriguez and Chen returned. The county attorney is prepared to file charges, Rodriguez said. Bank fraud, forgery, identity theft, Class 4 felony, 2 to 3.75 years. However, they're willing to offer a plea agreement. Mr. Parker pleads guilty to attempted fraud, accepts 2 years supervised probation, pays restitution of $40,000 to Mr. Morrison. No jail time if he complies. $40,000. I watched Marcus process the impossible number. And if he doesn't take the deal? Rachel asked. Trial. If convicted, mandatory minimum 2 years in state prison, plus restitution, legal fees, court costs. Rodriguez handed Marcus a card. You've got until next Monday to decide. After they left, Marcus sat motionless. Rachel paced, spiraling. 40,000, she repeated. Where are we supposed to get 40,000? Your father, Marcus said flatly. They both turned to me. Absolutely not, I said. Dad, please. Marcus will go to prison. Our lives. Your lives are already destroyed. You did that yourselves. I pulled out a chair. I paid your debts before. Every single time. You promised things would change. They never did. This is different. This is exactly the same. Take the plea deal, Marcus. 2 years probation is better than prison. Get a job. Figure it out. Over the next 2 weeks, their apartment search grew desperate. 29 applications. 29 rejections. Finally, they found something. A studio in Mesa near the 202. Old building, rough neighborhood. But the landlord agreed to rent to them for $1,300 a month plus a massive security deposit. Rachel's mother loaned them the money. I'd never met the woman she and Rachel's late father had divorced when Rachel was young. Minimal contact after. But desperation makes people reach out. We're signing the lease tomorrow, Rachel announced one evening. Move-in date is August 25th. Convenient timing. She looked exhausted. Hair in a ponytail, no makeup, wearing old sweats. I found something else. She handed me an old box. Inside were letters I'd written her during her freshman year at ASU. Pages of fatherly advice, encouragement, stupid jokes. I'd sent one every week for the entire year. I'd forgotten about these, she said. Reading them now, I don't recognize that person anymore. The daughter you wrote to. She's still in there somewhere. Is she? Rachel's voice cracked. Because I look at what we did to you, and I don't understand how we got here. One bad decision at a time. Compounding. She nodded slowly. Marcus is taking the plea deal. His attorney says it's smart. And you? I'm staying at Desert Sky Marketing. They haven't fired me yet. Bitter laugh. I'm the office scandal. The woman who tried to steal her father's house. I corrected. Words matter. Yeah. She picked up the box. Can I keep these? The letters? They're yours. On the morning of August 24th, Marcus signed the plea agreement. 2 years probation, $40,000 in restitution, community service. Judge Martinez made sure he understood every term. This is mercy, Mr. Parker. Don't waste it. That evening, I sat on my porch, watching the sunset paint the mountains purple and orange. Tomorrow, they'd be gone. Tomorrow, my house would be mine again. James joined me with 2 beers. You won, he said finally. Did I? Legally, financially, morally. Yes, winning is exhausting. We sat until stars came out. 2 old men witnessing the end of something that should never have happened. August 25th dawned hot and cloudless. The U-Haul arrived at 7, smallest size they offered, barely enough for a studio's worth. I stayed inside, made coffee, read the paper, pretended it was normal. But I watched through the window. Around noon, Rachel came inside one last time, searching for something in the garage. I heard her moving boxes, then silence. I walked to the garage door. Rachel stood frozen, holding a box I'd forgotten. Inside were my awards from Phoenix Fire Department. 32 years of commendations, certificates, medals, the Lifetime Service Award from the governor, letters from fire chiefs, newspaper clippings about rescues I'd led. What is all this? She asked quietly. My career. She pulled out the Lifetime Service Award, running her fingers over the engraving. You saved 14 people from burning buildings. It says so, right here. Why didn't you ever tell me? You never asked. Rachel set it down carefully, pulled out another. This one from the fire chief, recognizing my leadership during the Fountain Hills wildfire. Then another and another. There's a newspaper article here. She held up a clipping from the Arizona Republic. From 2003, Thomas Morrison, Phoenix's quiet hero. It talks about how you personally trained 47 firefighters, how you changed department policy to reduce injuries, how the mayor called you indispensable. I remember. Dad, this says you were offered fire chief. You turned it down. The position required too much administrative work. I wanted to stay on the ground, with my crew. I leaned against the doorframe. Priorities. She looked at me then. Really looked. I had no idea. All these years, I thought you were just a firefighter. Nothing special. Nothing special? The words stung. We assumed. She trailed off, face reddening. Marcus said you were probably making $50,000 when you retired, that your pension was small, that you needed us as much as we needed you. My pension is $96,000 annually, plus Social Security, plus investments. Her mouth opened. How much do you have saved? More than enough. I wasn't giving exact numbers. The house is worth $720,000. Then there's retirement accounts, investments, bonds. She sank onto a box, awards scattered around her. We treated you like you were nothing. And all this time, you were a hero. I always mattered. You just stopped noticing. Marcus appeared in the doorway. Rachel, we need to go. He saw the awards, saw Rachel's face. Did you know Dad was basically a city hero? She said, holding up the award. That the governor personally thanked him? Marcus's face went blank. That's great, Thomas. You knew, Rachel said slowly. You knew and didn't tell me. I knew he had a decent pension. So we've been treating him like he needed our help, when really we were drowning, and he was the only thing keeping us afloat. Her voice climbed. Keep your voice down, Marcus glanced at the street. When is the time, Marcus? After we've lost everything? She stood, shoving the box toward him. Look, this is who my father is, and we tried to steal his house. The shame hit her all at once. She started crying. Huge, gasping sobs. This is your fault, she said to Marcus. You told me he was just an old man with savings. I told you what you wanted to hear. Don't pretend you weren't part of every decision. The truth of it shut her up. I picked up one award, the one from the fire chief, and set it back in the box carefully. You should finish loading. It's hot. Rachel wiped her face roughly. Dad, Not now. They loaded the last boxes in silence. The U-Haul filled slowly. Marcus climbed into the driver's seat. Rachel hesitated at the passenger door, looking back. I'll call you, once we're settled. If you want, I do want. I need to figure out how to apologize for something this big. Start with being honest with yourself, about who you became and why. She nodded, got in. The truck pulled away. I watched until it turned the corner and disappeared. The house felt different immediately. Quieter, larger, like it had been holding its breath and could finally exhale. I walked through the rooms slowly. They'd left the furniture, couldn't fit it in the studio. Left the television. The expensive espresso machine sat on the counter, gathering dust. In my bedroom, I found Marcus's desk partially disassembled. Cables everywhere. They'd forgotten it. I'd have James help me haul it to Goodwill. My bed was there, though, shoved against the wall. I stripped the sheets, threw them in the washer, remade it with fresh linens, reclaimed my space, inch by inch. That evening, James came over with steaks and whiskey. We grilled in the backyard like we used to. How do you feel? He asked. Empty, relieved, angry, sad, all at once. That's human. We ate watching the sunset paint Camelback Mountain in shades of fire. Did she realize? James asked. About your career? She found my awards. Had a moment of clarity. Better late than never. Is it? 3 weeks passed before Rachel called. I'd spent them reclaiming my house, donated the furniture to a charity helping domestic violence survivors, hauled Marcus's equipment to Goodwill, repainted my bedroom. The house felt like mine again. When Rachel's call came, I almost didn't answer. Dad, can we talk? In person? I considered refusing. Lux Coffee on Scottsdale Road, I said. Tomorrow at 2? She arrived early. I watched her through the window, fidgeting with her phone. She wore simple clothes, jeans, plain shirt, no makeup, the polished facade gone. I ordered slowly, made her wait, testing whether she'd stay or bolt. When I finally sat down, she looked up with red-rimmed eyes. Thanks for meeting me. You look terrible. She laughed bitterly. I feel terrible. The studio it's tiny. We can hear everything through the walls. There's a leak the landlord won't fix. And Marcus. She trailed off. What about Marcus? We're separating. Probably divorcing, said flatly. Turns out when you strip away the comfortable house and the free ride, there's not much left. And you? I got a second job. Waitressing at Olive Garden 3 nights a week. She twisted her coffee cup. The restitution payment started. We owe you $40,000 over 2 years. That's almost $1,700 a month. Between my 2 jobs and Marcus's warehouse work, we have maybe $200 left after rent and food. That's not my problem. I know. I'm not asking you to forgive the debt. She met my eyes. I'm telling you so you understand. We're going to default. Marcus will violate probation. He'll probably go to jail. Does he know you're here? He'd lose it if he found out. She unfolded a paper, showed me payment schedules in her handwriting. I wanted you to know that I understand the consequences now. What we did, what it cost. No more denying reality. I studied her face. She looked older, like life had caught up with her. Why tell me? Because you deserve to know that I see it now. Who you are, what we took from you. Her voice cracked. I found more articles online about your career. You testified at the state capitol twice about fire safety regulations. You wrote training protocols still used today. You saved history, Dad. Real, actual history. And we treated you like you were nobody. Yes, you did. She flinched, but didn't look away. I also wanted to apologize. Really apologize. Not to get something. Just, I'm sorry for the phone call at the hospital, for living off you, for Marcus's forgery, for every moment we made you feel unimportant. The words hit hard. I don't forgive you, I said. Not yet, maybe not ever. I understand, but I appreciate you saying it. I finished my coffee. What happens when Marcus violates probation? His lawyer says probably 18 months in county jail. I'll divorce him while he's inside. Start over completely. We sat in silence. Around us, Scottsdale moved. Cyclists, shoppers, families. Life continuing. I kept those letters, Rachel said. The ones you wrote when I was in college. I read them every night, trying to remember who I was before I became this person. She's still there, just buried. Is she? Rachel stood, gathering her things. I'm not sure anymore, but I'm going to try to find out. For me, not for you. I don't expect anything, Dad. Not forgiveness, not help, not a relationship. I just wanted you to know that I finally see clearly. She walked away without looking back. James texted that evening. Heard Rachel came by. How'd it go? She apologized. Genuinely. What did you say? That I don't forgive her yet. Do you think you will? I stared at my phone. Trust shattered doesn't rebuild because someone says sorry. Respect lost takes years to earn back. But something had shifted. Some small space opening, not forgiveness, but maybe the possibility of it someday. Ask me in a year, I texted back. That night, I sat in my workshop, fully reclaimed now, and worked on a project I'd started before they moved in. A display case for my fire department medals. Oak and glass, hand-cut joints. 4 years abandoned. Now, slowly taking shape. The work felt good, creating rather than destroying, moving forward rather than dwelling. My phone buzzed. Linda Vasquez. Thomas. Update. Marcus Parker missed his first restitution payment. Probation officer filed a violation. Court date October 10th. October 10th. 3 weeks away. I set down my tools and looked at the unfinished case. Wondered if Rachel would really try to change, or if she'd crumble like always. Wondered if I cared. The house settled around me. My house, my space, my life. Finally my own again. The victory should have felt sweet. Instead, it just felt quiet. Quiet was good enough. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to Obsidian Vengeance, and share your thoughts in the comments. To listen to the next story, click the box on the left. Thank you for watching.